So how is our friend Psycho Mark?
Psycho Mark's a great guy.
We love Psycho Mark,
and he's so energetic. And now I guess you just told me he's with Alan Combs. I thought he was with Bill O'Reilly for a while.
I know he's doing Alan Combs' show. He's like board opping and kind of producing, I guess. But
wasn't he working with you guys for a while?
He worked with us for a long time.
What happened? Was he miking people or something?
I wish I could remember. He engaged every future guest. Like, before the guests came on, like, he debriefed them.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were dispirited when he was done with them and didn't want to come on. And after a while, we had to make a decision. Do we get guests?
Oh, my God, that's funny. That is so Psycho Mark.
Yeah. He acted like him and Bill O'Reilly were drinking every day, and they were buddies.
Well, here's the thing. I could see that everyone's afraid to talk around Bill O'Reilly. And then I realized the best thing to do with people like that, especially Bill, is just talk to him. Engage him.
Yeah.
Then you're the one guy that talks to him. And he is so fearless. I can see him walking up and go, "What's with you? How tall are you? You know, what's with your attitude today?" And that would almost relax a guy that walks around.
People don't know Bill O'Reilly's what, like 6'5" or something.
Huge.
He's
a big guy.
Unbelievable. But when Anthony and I got fired for the Sex with Sam, the couple doing their thing at St. Pat's Cathedral, all you guys were looking to talk to Anthony and I, and we refused to talk to anyone. We're like, nothing good could come out of this.
Yeah, we couldn't.
We couldn't, and we didn't want to, because what are we going to say,
Never comes out good.
So you guys got Psycho Mark because he was working on our show.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's one of our favorite pieces of audio because he gets everything wrong. You guys are buying everything he's saying.
You put him in a suit.
You put him in a suit.
We didn't give him a clothing deal. He had to supply that.
He had to borrow someone's suit, though. He borrowed someone's suit, and he's sitting there in the suit that doesn't fit him.
Yeah, he had a menial job at Fox, and because this was the big story, he throws a suit on. You guys get him a limo for a day. You mic him up, and there he is on Fox and Friends. It's one of the funniest things we've ever seen.
Yeah,
because we know the guy. We know how much of an f up he is.
Now wait a second. You never talked to him. He said he was keeping in touch with you guys.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
Oh my God, we barely knew what was going on a minute-to-minute basis.
You want to hear a little of this? Or?
Me and Opie would talk to each other, and we had no clue really what was going on. Who was calling us? Where we might end up if our contract is going to be used against us? All that stuff we didn't know up until probably a couple of months before we got rehired.
Yeah.
Psycho Mark knew that day. He had all the answers. He knew who was calling us to be hired, where we were going to end up, how we were going to... He knew everything, and it was so funny.
You want to hear a little bit of it?
Yeah, let's hear a little Psycho Mark.
Unfortunately for a couple of guys who are making millions of dollars a year, Opie and Anthony in New York City, they were fired yesterday after a couple was caught having sex at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and it was all being broadcast on their radio show.
Joining us now with some exclusive details is a member of that cast, Mark Walsh.
Exclusive details.
Mark Walsh. There he is. Psycho Mark.
Psycho Mark. I'm looking at the TV like they did not get him to talk.
Oh, I know. For any,
do you know how much pot this guy smokes on a daily basis?
For any of the newer listeners, Psycho Mark is a character that was on our show from the beginning of the time we were at NEW, and he's psycho. That's hence the name. From Boston. He got fired from NEW during one of the Sex for Sam things.
Right.
It was during the second Sex for Sam, I believe, that we did. And he got fired because he had his couple go into our boss's office and had them do backdoor action on the boss's couch.
While another boss was saying, no,
don't do that. Psycho Mark looked him right in the face, looked at his couple, and said, "Go ahead, do it." And they threw him out, and that's when he got the job at Fox. But Psycho Mark was that guy, and that's why we loved having him on the show. He was that guy, if you brought in an M80 into school and didn't have the balls to put it down the toilet and light it, you'd give it to Psycho Mark, because he would absolutely do it.
Hence the name.
Psycho Mark.
Yeah. And he started the whole assault on the media.
Yeah.
That has happened to you guys a bunch, the wow signs and the Opie and Anthony signs.
He'd run behind the people.
Oh, he started the whole thing for our show anyway, sure. I don't know how originally
He'd run behind the people doing their remotes with signs, and
that's how, we used him on our radio show. And then he gets fired, and now he's working for Fox.
I know.
Yeah.
And we hit you guys a bunch of times when you guys would do the street stuff.
Yeah, you'd hit us all the time. And also with Psycho Mark, he evidently had a bird's eye view of 9/11, those planes hitting.
Yeah.
So that's the other time we were interviewing him. We went from Psycho Mark, the crazy guy no one could control, to he's our featured guest and someone who watched the planes hit the towers.
Yeah, he would have two distinct voices. One was the Psycho Mark voice like this, and go, gah, 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 I'll take a 50 cal and shoot you, you ass. Gah, gah, gah. And then there was the one you're interviewing.
Yeah, it was a difficult time for everybody. Here in my apartment building, we had a perfect view of the carnage that happened.
A little trivia: the shot they showed of Ground Zero that all the news organizations used, that was from Psycho Mark's apartment.
Yeah, he like rented out his apartment to the news,
and one of his jobs
was
just to watch the camera, and they would always go to that shot.
Yeah, he said that was a very depressing time in his life because he had to watch.
Kidding.
He had to watch what was being filmed the whole time, and all it was, carnage. So
let's go back to the exclusive interview with Psycho Mark.
And on to Opie Anthony, on those Opie Anthony listeners as Psycho Mark.
Hi guys, how are you?
How are you?
Me on.
Mark, it's a thrill to see you again.
Thanks for having me on.
you weren't there, you idiot.
Brian, you just said, didn't you just mic me before we did this? Thanks for having me on.
That's his official voice now.
Thanks for having me on. I'm a very busy person.
We don't have any of those old clips of him doing spots and stuff where he would, start talking and
running
going.
out of show. I'm sure we can find
Because
them.
the contrast between that Psycho Mark and this Psycho Mark is amazing.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for having
How's
me
your
on.
coffee? Did I make it right for you before I sat down for this exclusive interview? Do people understand?
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Mark, it's a thrill to see you again, especially clean.
Yeah, exactly. With a suit and everything.
I know. I didn't know you
I feel like a pundit,
Give it back to John Scott at the end of the show. That's part of the deal.
Fair deal.
But Mark, let's talk seriously. What happened? Fred was the one, our producer, here to inform you about what happened. You've talked to Opie and Anthony since. What's their feeling about getting?
Well, it was
canned?
a huge thing. Needless to say. I mean, needless to say, the entire stunt was a bad thing. What happened?
This is the guy. It was a bad thing, Anthony.
Needless to say,
The stunt was a bad thing.
Last year when I got fired for this, it wasn't as bad as this.
this is a bad thing. Needless to say.
Needless to say.
Great.
What happened was entirely wrong, and the boys are very upset that it even happened.
What was at stake here was a trip to the Sam Adams plant up in Massachusetts, and whoever got the most points would get the free trip, right?
Exactly.
And the way you get points is?
You go around town, and the couples would engage in lewd acts. In different places.
So they'd have sex in different places.
Exactly.
For points, and then someone picked the St. Patrick's Cathedral, and even with a 40-second delay,
well, what
you guys aired it?
What happened before the show was, and it was explained to everybody that took part in the show, do not go to St. Patrick's Cathedral. This was told to all the participants before we even went on air that day, okay?
Yeah.
Is that true?
No.
Oh, St. Pat's? No.
But we didn't say go there. It was just like we threw church on the list just to kind of be shocking. We didn't think anyone had the balls to actually go to a church.
We had the list in front of us, and of course, reading off the list was part of the show. So we would read off things like Tiffany's, Hard Rock Cafe, FAO Schwartz, and then church. Like it was written on the list, but it was one of those things that you said over the air, but never really intended people to go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oops.
But he makes it sound like,
It was
that
never
we're
written on
completely
there.
innocent.
Thanks
No.
for having me.
Can I just jump in real quick? I mean, any church. There was like 25 points that you could get for going into a church. Wouldn't you just think any church would blow people's
most
minds?
of the stuff that happens is it's radio. It's on air. It's a description. It's theater of the mind, so to speak. In other words, things necessarily aren't really happening,
Theater of the
but
mindless.
they are described as on the air.
Now, wait a minute. Are you saying they didn't really have sex? Because the usher says the people were partially naked.
I'm not going to get into the
If they wanted to do theater of the mind, they would have been in a car outside and said, "We're inside the church, okay."
Well, what happened was there's a fail-safe system on a show. There's a 40-second delay that they use. In other words, they have up to 10 times to dump out of the show within 40 seconds.
How does he know?
He doesn't know crap.
He doesn't know. That wasn't what we had.
He just...
There were 10 times. I could give you exact button locations. I'll write you a map.
He hadn't been. Well, he didn't know.
Do you want me to tell him to call you guys?
He should absolutely call us.
We got it. It's been too long. We got to talk to him. Let's get back to this because we're running out of show here.
So if something gets aired that's inappropriate, there's an opportunity to take it off the show.
So why didn't they dump it?
Well, that's what happened. There's a whole chain of command, the system that works with the program director and the general manager.
Suspended.
Well, they both have boxes in their office and are able to dump out of the show at any time. Now, they should have been on the post that afternoon monitoring the show. Now, these guys, this Opie and Anthony, Anthony. You know,
what our bosses should have been doing.
You don't go to them for news, weather,
This
and
is
sports.
not Paul Harvey.
Exactly. You don't tune into Fox for dirty jokes. They're shock jocks.
Right.
So you got to stay on top of them.
They're shock jocks.
They're
He
shock
was the most
jocks.
shocking member of the show
Yeah.
back then. They're shock jocks.
They're shock
I
jocks.
had nothing to do with them. Really, Mark? You weren't the one that held up the C word on live TV for us.
I love Mark.
But we're shock jocks.
Right.
So you got to stay on top of them all the time.
So yesterday they got fired. The general manager and the program director have been suspended. Are they going to get canned too?
Most likely. And what happened is the formats will probably change at the station. You'll probably see a switch probably to light music. Like
You're
light
kidding me.
FM.
So they're going to lose all
right
that
after
talk and that
2
dramatic
years.
switch that no Karmazon made happen.
Well, they're on several markets as well. They're number one in Philly. They're number one in Buffalo. They're
So what
number one in
happens then?
Cleveland.
Where do they?
Detroit.
Detroit. We were
never on.
Detroit.
We were never on in Detroit. Yeah, and Cucamonga. He's the best.
Well, I hope there's not other
Did they
guests
move
like
to
him.
another station and do their show from there? Because they were fired from Boston, were
Exactly.
they not?
They were also
For
fired
doing
from,
something.
But you know what? I spoke to them
Faking the
last
mayor's
night.
death.
That's
Is
right.
that correct, Mark?
Yes, for the mayor's dead son.
Yeah, they made believe the mayor died.
False.
But this is Opie and Anthony. I mean, these guys, they said the mayor was dead on April Fool's Day. I mean, come on. Who's going to really believe it?
Ultimately,
Everybody?
this just
Yeah,
How
right.
many people know it's April 1st?
Come on.
Ultimately, though, this shows you how far afield shock jocks have gotten. I mean, it used to be just Howard Stern just talking quasi-dirty, but now we're having sex in a church. The Catholic League, with 350 members, now says, you know what, since they got canned, we're not going to push for WNEW to lose their license. So they're stepping away from
Which
it.
is a fair shot, and they had every right to be mad. I mean, Bill Donahue is a good guy, and he had every right to be upset.
Real quickly, did they ever talk about Opie and Anthony? Did they ever sit there and say, well, maybe this is going over the line, or was it just like, hey, let's push the envelope?
With that
all
show,
goes over the
it
line.
happened so fast. In other words, it made the air, and it's like, you stepped in crap. Oh, God. What do? You're in it. And it was too late.
Can
Next
we
thing you know
bleep
it,
that out?
it was
All right.
Mark, my last question to you, are they going to sue to get their jobs back? Because this is what they do. They might have a lawyer that
Chances are they're in negotiations right now with another company, and we'll probably see them back on the air shortly.
So they'll take millions of dollars from CBS for leaving and go get another job someplace else.
Most likely, that's exactly what's going to happen.
All right, Mark Walsh, thanks very much for giving us the exclusive details on the morning show.
The best-
All right, thanks very much.
The best part, we were in negotiations. No, we weren't.
No.
We
They'll
were
be
in
on the air shortly. 2 years.
Yeah, after he said that statement, it still took another 2 years, and then we started negotiating. But he knew for sure that we were negotiating already.
Gotta love Mark, man.
Wow, a lot of time has passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.